Guess who's back? Back again. Sai is back. Tell your friends. It's me again. Welcome aboard the good ship GunnerTalk. It's pretty much my third video in as many days, I think. But obviously, this, getting to the end of the window, the end of pre-season, the start of the Premier League season. There's loads going on, loads to talk about. So I apologise for the amount of content I blasted you guys with, but it had to be done. I did the video about the last pre-season game, and I've done another one wrapping up all the pre-season, everyone that was involved, a little bit of pre-season tombola, as I called it. And now I'm just going to have a quick look into everything that's going on and try and answer some of your guys' questions. Excuse me, I've seemed a bit bummed up this morning. I feel a bit sad this morning because it's I've sort of woke up here in Newcastle every morning and I can see St James's Park out the bedroom window really well, and it's sort of got me really pumped for the start of the season, because obviously we're there in a matter of a few days, so it's just like I can hear the sort of fans cheering now, and it's getting me excited, and I think there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic this season. Depending which way you look at it. But yeah, I sort of woke up with a smile. It's my mum's last radiotherapy today. So we'll be saying bye to Newcastle, hopefully for a good while. And it's back to the Lake District to crack on with the chemo now. So everything crossed it, we can keep it at bay this time. So let's crack on with your guys' questions. I had quite a lot sent in, obviously because I've not done one in a while. I've just tried to answer a few because there's quite a bit of transfer bullshit to talk about, obviously, with where we're at in the window. So, first question. If I had a choice between Coutinho and Regani on loan or Upamecano on a permanent, which would I pick? It's a no-brainer for me. I'd pick Upamecano on a permanent. It's not really much of a decision for me because he's the one who I said, and I've been saying for ages, would be my number one choice, young centre-back. You can go and fact-check that for at least the best part. I'm going to say nearly 2 years I've been saying that for now, maybe a bit longer. Obviously we've gone and done Saliba, which is, a huge move for the future. If he keeps on the way he's going. And Upamecano would be very similar, but he's exactly the type of centre-back I want. He can play left centre-back, which is a massive benefit of him, but he's just a real athletic, physical type of centre-back. He's not someone you'd see getting left for dead, looking like he's treading water. Him and the Socrates pairing, sort of a more tactician, tough tackling centre back next to an athletic player like him could be really, really exciting and very, very solid. It's no brainer for me. I wouldn't be adverse to Coutinho and Regani on loan. It'd blow my mind as well a little bit, to be honest. Any of that happening, I'd be really happy with. It's not like there's a horrible choice in that 50-50, but for me, it's not just that Upamecano would be permanent and the other two are loans. It's just he is someone that you could definitely build a team around, and you wouldn't be going far wrong. We built or attempted to build sides off much worse players. So if we start to build a side around, obviously Saliba's coming in, we've got Torreira, Leno, Lacker's got plenty of time in him yet, and then you look at some of the young lads as well, and it's the time, and it's so exciting that in a couple of windows time, a couple of seasons time, we could look in at a squad with a sort of average age of 22 to 24, and you're all looking at most of them and going, this kid's worth 40 million quid and he could be worth double that in another 2 years. There's so many like that at the minute that it's sort of make or break time. It's really exciting for me, and it's the one big real thing that's keeping me excited for this season, definitely. But yeah, not getting away from that question, Upamecano will be permanent for me, definitely. Next one. The good old £45 million budget. Like I said, I told you guys at the start of the window, I knew Well, I didn't know, but I was told on very good information that we'd be spending over 100 million this window, and it would be very similar to the last window where I said 5 in, 5 out, and this one looking being the same. You know, we've got 3 in on a permanent, 4 in total. You know, 2 at the club at present. You know, Martinelli, Ceballos, Saliba, Pepe, 1 more as a minimum, I think, and I'm very confident about that. But yeah, I've seen loads of people talking about this 45 million budget thing over the last couple of days. You know, if you look at the deals in totals, it's way over 100 million, which is the way I was always looking at the window. And then I've seen people say, well, if you look at the fees we're paying up front for these players, it's less than 45 million. But what those people aren't taking into account is the deals that we've done the window before and the window before that, where we did them in instalments, and those would be due. Like, you know, Torreira, for example, what was it? We owe them another 12.5 million this window. So those people haven't took into account that. So however you angle it, it's more than 45 million in my opinion. And like I said at the start of the window, you know, if you're playing poker and you sat on 2 aces, you don't start and you start counting your chips, do you? You just... Sorry guys, that was my poker face, by the way. But you do, don't you? You just... Oh yeah, very nice. Like, I'll just keep looking at these like they're a 2-7. So, you know, I didn't buy into anything that was being said, and it's a tricky one for me because I don't find most of the media particularly plausible, to be honest. So I take everything with a pinch of salt, even from the guys that a lot of you think are mega credible. I don't really listen to any of it. I have a couple of people that tell me a bit of stuff, and that's all I really take is what they tell me to get really excited about. But yeah, people that are just waffling online, it's, you know, when are people going to wake up and realise that this stuff's all about staying relevant and getting clicks? You know, it's incredible how many people will pipe up on these things and not realise that that's the what they want, that's the reaction they want, rather than just read it and go complete twat and then just carry on scrolling down your page. You feel the urge to comment, and that's then they've got you. So yeah, I thought it was bullshit. It's obviously bullshit. We move. Next one, staying on the signing sort of thing. Does Konate have a release clause? And if it was around or under the price of Upamecano, who would you pick, Upamecano or Konate? I'm a massive fan of both. And if you were looking at a ready-made pairing of young centre-backs, if you were looking at a future projection of the sort of next 5-10 years, that's been the pairing that's just smacks you in the face in world football. You know, obviously we were both playing at Leipzig, and then in the French under-21s, you can't help but notice it. And that's a partnership I wish we'd have just gone to Leipzig and said, you know, we've got a lot of youth players here, pick 3 or 4 of them that you want on loan for a year. You know, take your pick of some of our players, and we'll pay you the best part of 100 million for these 2. We haven't, but you know, it looks like we're having a nibble at one half of that partnership, which is great. Konate, I'm not sure if he has a release clause. He's not someone I know too much about his contract. I know he's on pretty low wages, but I think he'd be the cheaper of the 2. I think he could be got for, I'm going to say sort of 45 to 55. I think he could be signed for. And if I had the choice, I would pick up Upamecano, but not by a ton. I would be ecstatic if either of those 2 players came in the club, but I would have slight preference for Upamecano. Like I say, they're a pairing that I've watched quite a lot of, together and separate, because, you know, it's a position that we've needed players in, so I always tend to start looking at, you know, when I'm at work or whatever and I'm watching games, I'm trying to scout. So just for my own interest, you know, we all like to put up 11s and you know, when as soon as the window opens, say, right, this is what I want, and I like playing that game. You know, I've not grown up either, but I enjoy it and I take it for what it is. You know, and if it doesn't happen, I don't throw my toys out the pram. But this window's a little bit different again, because, you know, obviously there's some players out there that you know we're not going to attempt to sign, but for a lot of people, I think you'll be feeling an optimism again after the Pepe deal, where you're going, oh hello, you know, these deals that I thought were ridiculously out of our, especially if you bought into this 45 million budget stuff, you know, you will be rocked to your core still about the Pep signing, I'm sure, going, where the fuck's that come from? You know, I'm not incredibly shocked. I'm surprised it's him that came in, but I'm not shocked we've spent big money this window. And that's why, you know, I had a little pop at Josh's comments about get excited, and I said, you know, we might sign some exciting players, but the minimum required for me was 4 or 5 signings this window, minimum, and you know, a requirement, not I'd like, we needed 4 or 5 signings this window, or we were just going to continue on that downward trajectory that we have been over the last couple of years. And you know, some people would say a lot longer than that. You know, it's been 15 years since we won the league, so you know, at some point something had to change, and I think it's happening. I saw the start of it last window, and now I'm seeing the follow-on, and I think we'll see very similar again this time next year. I'll see if I do think there'll be another 5 out and another 5 in again, or something very close to that. Next question: loans. Who do I think needs a loan that took part in pre-season, and who do I think will go out on loan? Goalkeepers, no. Right backs, no. Centre backs, Medley, I definitely think needs a loan, and I think he might get one. Yeah, I think so. Who else was doing that team? Mavropanos is injured, so he's not going to go out on loan anytime soon. Thompson, he's one who I don't think there's much sense in putting him back into the youth team, and I'd like to see him go out to League One or the Championship, because I think he could be ready for next season. Do I think he'll go out on loan? Probably not, but I would like to see it. Olayinka for me, I'd like to see him go out on loan, but I don't think he will. Burton is another one who I think would be worthwhile sending him out on loan, but I don't think he will. Saka, for me, is a really interesting one. It's going to be weird. I think I think a lot of this hinges on Eddie, whether Eddie goes out on loan or not, and then there'll be a sort of knock-on effect. Because if Eddie goes out on loan, that would suggest to me that he's going to look to just rotate Laka and Ober up front, which means then that we'd need more wingers because you take Ober out the wide positions. He's one I'd love to see go out on loan, but I don't think he will. It's a female. Emile Smith-Rowe, you know, he's took no part in pre-season. He got injured on his loan last year. He's one that needs to go out on loan. We'd give him enough first team chances this year, and he's someone that definitely is way above youth football now for me. He's way too talented. That'd be a real step down for him, and I do think he will go out on loan this year. Willett, no chance he's going out on loan. Guendouzi, no. Martinelli, no, I don't think Martinelli's going anywhere. Nelson, no. John Jules, he's someone I'd love to see go out on loan. Similar comments. I think he should definitely be going to a Championship club, not below that level. He's someone I'd definitely like to see go out on loan. Again, if Eddie goes, I could see him stepping into the Eddie role that he played last year. So it's a tricky one. So yeah, he's another one I think should go out on loan, but I don't think he will. And then Eddie, who I don't want to see go out on loan, but it looks like he might be doing. Crazy, really. It's a crazy thought to me, but it really depends on what Unai is thinking is his strongest lineup at the moment. You know, I'd rather see Eddie in and around the first team this year and getting plenty of minutes, but if Emery's decided that he's going to rotate Laka and Ober, then I don't want to see Eddie at the club getting 4 appearances this year. So I think he will go out on loan maybe. You know, there's a lot of smoke at the moment on that one. A lot of clubs interested. You know, why wouldn't they be? You know, he's one of the most exciting young English strikers I think there is about at the moment. You know, not being biased because I'm Arsenal, just looking at him and comparing him to some of the others. You know, there is some really good ones out there at the minute. I think there's a real wealth of English talent at the moment. You know, in between that 16 and 22 bracket, I'm not going to get onto Southgate, but he's going to waste that golden generation for me of England players this time round because he's not good enough. But anyway, yeah, so I hope that answered that one. Let's have another one. The protests, Heavy D, the Boominator, whatever you call him, and his belt and his megaphone, and you know, the other guys that got involved with him protesting at the kit launch, and then obviously the Weekend EU movement, or whatever you want to call it. Did it have any effect on transfers? No. You know, you can't honestly believe that. You can't believe that, you know, Josh was just sat in his office, you know, and he's got one of those things going, you know, with a picture of dogs playing pool on his office wall, and a bowl of Skittles, and he's just sat there sort of staring out the window, and somebody's gone, excuse me Josh, there's something going on Twitter at the moment that I think you should have a look at. And he's like, no, I'm too busy just doing no transfers at the moment, or, you know, trying to improve the club, just leave it be. No, Josh, we really think you should take a look at this. Alright, go on then. Weekend EU, over 100,000 people signed it. Not happy about what's going on at the club. Right, okay, get Raoul on the phone.
Hello, this is Raoul.
Hi Raoul. You know how we weren't going to sign any players? Well, I've seen a few people getting pretty angry on Twitter, so let's do a madness. Is that alright with you?
Yes, it is perfect for me. I have a very special set of skills. I will find you.
Fabulous. Spend whatever it takes getting the players we need. Alright, see you later, boss. Never happened, guys, never happened. Yeah, no effect at all. You know, it's... Look at that interview that came out way before any of this with Raoul talking, saying, you know, it's going to be a year-long process, identifying targets. And I think it's... You know, there's been a lot of rumours this year, but not many credible ones where, you know, you always get sort of 20 or 30 names that you just go, yeah, alright. You know, like... Meunier or whatever, the right back, and I just went to you guys, no, not in a million years would I less than 0% believe this. The goalkeeper Neto was another one where it's just like, yeah, alright, see you later. There's always those ones that you just know to just ignore, and then these others that you go, yeah, there's definitely something behind this. And if you look, you know, those have been very few and far between. You know, Carrasco, Fraser, people were talking about them, but there was nothing really, you know, evidence-wise where you'd go, this is happening. But, you know, the Saliba stuff, it just didn't quite go away. And, you know, it was pretty clear that there was definite talks going on. Pepe, a bit, you know, I'm sure for people seemed a bit of a bolt out of the blue, but I think we've let him know we've been interested in him for a very long time. And I just think we sort of had to sit back at the back of that queue. You know, and see who stepped up and they're interested in him. And nobody really has apart from Napoli. And you know, Napoli's a very good club, but you know, I don't even think it's me being English, but if I was a footballer, I think I would choose to play at Arsenal over Napoli. You know, unless I wanted to live in the sunshine. That's probably the only difference for me. Yeah, you know, Martinelli, that's one I think that got worked on ages ago and we agreed on. And I think that's going to be more the case. You know, there seems mutterings and stuff drawing on about certain players, and all of a sudden there's just a name comes out of the hat and you just go, right, yeah, here we go, here's another one. You know, like Ceballos, there wasn't a lot of talk, was there? And all of a sudden, as soon as it came out, I was like, yeah, this seems like it's happening. And like I say, the deals that we've done have been very, very clever. You know, I'd like to think that if it was a toss-up between Zaha and Pep, the club would be clever enough to see that there's way more sense in signing Pep over Zaha. And considering the only positive Zaha's got over Pep is that he's playing in the Premier League, he doesn't outdo him in any other attribute for me. You know, even stuff like age, you know, he comes out worse. You know, the way we just shifted gear, you know, were we even ever properly really interested in Zaha? Were we ever really realistically going to look to pay over 60 million for him? I was told no, and like I say, that's from someone that I trust implicitly told me. You know, we were looking to spend up to 55 million on him, and maybe chuck in some players to make up the difference to what they valued him at, but that was it. Financial wise was 55. You know, and then we've gone to a club like Lille, who, you know, he's a player that I'm pretty sure were very confident they were going to make a big fee on. And maybe with it being us, that fee's not turned out to be as big as they might have hoped, but more than they will have thought about when they actually signed him. So they've definitely come out winning. And I've said it a few times about, you know, smaller clubs from smaller leagues, they don't play hardball as much. You know, that it's a bit like the Celtic thing. You know, although Celtic are a massive club, it's a small club in terms of worth. You know, and someone like a Turney going for 25 million is nearly all of the club's worth. You know, a lot of people tend to forget that because you only look at the really, really big clubs that, you know, the financial side of it are some of the biggest in the world. So Lille, you know, if you're there looking at, you know, just staying afloat, you know, and running healthily, then, you know, getting 10, 12, 15 million a year off us every year for the next 5 years, it's great, isn't it? You know, that's incredible business for a club like them without rinsing us. I think, you know, he's in that model again of a lot of the signings that we've made. You know, Lichtsteiner being the only one that we've got wrong for me in the last 2 windows. Well, Suarez, if you want to count that as well. But I was behind that at the time. It's just obviously it's turned out now he was injured when we signed him, so I'm against it now. But you know, Leno, Socrates, Torreira, Guendouzi. I think if we'd have sold them all yesterday, we'd have made money on all of them. Even Socrates is the only one where you go, yeah, maybe not. But I think if we'd have put him up for sale yesterday, we'd have got 20 odd million for him. I do 20 to 25, because he had a good season for us last year. He's very solid. People disrespect him, but because he's not glamorous, but he is very competent and very solid. And then you look at the deals again this window, like I say, Lichtsteiner, we got it wrong, but he cost us nothing. You know, so we just lost out on paying his, you know, pointless wages for a year, but that's not a big hit. You know, we're doing that with plenty of other players like El Neni, Jenkinson, you know, where we're paying wages and they're never playing. You know, and then you look at Ceballos, just his wages again, and a very small loan fee that we've covered with, you know, letting some much lesser light players leave. Like I say, Martinelli, you're definitely going to make money on him. Pep, I think if we ever came to sell him over the sort of next 2 to 4 years, we would definitely get our money back or more, because I think he really can go right to the top. I think he's a real incredible player. So yeah, the business we've done is really good. And like I say, I think it's been part of a long-term projection, long-term plan, long-term targets. You know, I was told ages ago that there were sort of 15 players that we were looking at. That's it, across all the positions we wanted to recruit for. We had 15 players in total, a list of that we were looking through, of who to sign. So yeah, I've gone off on one a little bit, but yeah, I don't think those protests did any damage whatsoever. I thought they were just a bit embarrassing, to be honest. But I'm not against people standing up for what they believe in, unless it's, you know, the Nazis or something. Yeah, or NF, or I don't know, you know, EDL or something. But yeah, and the weak EDU, I don't think it's really had any effect on anything, because I think the board aren't completely oblivious, and I think they will have known we were all quite underwhelmed for a while anyway. So yeah. And they were two totally different things as well. You know, the protest was about just spend some fucking money. You know, and I don't want to say less intelligent fans because that's unfair, but I don't think have really thought about what it is they're complaining about. They're just complaining. Whereas the weak IDU stuff was sort of way more thought out and methodical, you know, and pretty direct in the things that they were asking for and they want to improve. It wasn't just, well, you need to buy a load of players. You know, it's well constructed, and although I didn't sort of throw my my weighty opinion behind it, I was alright with it. It's not something that I'd have really jumped on the bandwagon with, but yeah, it's just fans letting the feelings known, but no, I don't think it had any effect on transfers whatsoever. Let's get on to the next one. Season's expectations. What are you expecting? Can we get off to a flyer? I hope we can get the season off to a flyer, but I'm not so sure. You know, I hinted on it last night. I think if you look at, you know, possibly now from pre-season, maybe Lacazette and Ceballos aren't capable of playing any part in the first game of the season. Torreira's only just come back. Guendouzi's not been back for ages. Iwobi's not been back. Pep's probably not going to play. We've not bought a centre back. We've not bought a left back. You know, and like I said, that lineup that I said for Newcastle probably will be Leno in net, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Chambers, Socrates, Nacho, or Kolasinac, Xhaka, Willock, or Xhaka and Guendouzi, Ozil, and then Obalaka, Mkhitaryan. You know, if Laka doesn't play, then I'm not sure who he then throws in that free. Maybe then he does throw Guendouzi on and turn it into a free up top with Meza. I don't know, but yeah, this lineup we're going to start this season with, it won't be particularly inspiring. It'll be a bit like last year, where he'll be going, oh no, here we go again, sort of thing. And that's why I was saying with Unai, I think you're going to have to give him a bit of patience again this year because he's not got his entire squad for pre-season. And again, like last year, what turned out to be pretty much all of our best senior players were all the ones that had most recently come into the club. You know, Laka, Oba, Socrates, Leno, Torreira, Guendouzi. They were probably all our most important players last year, apart from Iwobi. You know, and then I think it's going to be a bit more of the same this year. You know, Pep, we're going to look to lean on him massively. Ceballos, I think the same. Martinelli, I think he'll get leaned on a bit. So it's definitely going to be interesting. So I think you've got to keep your expectations down. And like I said, I think we're going to sort of peak this season. And where last season we sort of flat and then went up and then sort of took a nosedive, I think we will go on a sort of steady upward curve this year. I think we'll have a tough first month. And I think a lot of people are going to go, you negative bastard. But I think I'd take sort of 4 to 6 points from that first 12. And be happy. You know, obviously I'd like to come out with wins against Liverpool and Spurs, but with what, you know, like I say, putting the real realistic hat on, you know, with the lineup we'd probably have, I think we'd probably get beat by Liverpool. You know, being realistic, Spurs get a draw, there's 1 point. You know, Burnley are always tricky and Newcastle will be tricky, you know, so if you can sort of get a win and 2 draws from those games, or 2 wins and a draw, I would definitely take that, definitely, and then just move, you know, when we go again, because like I say, players are going to keep getting added to the squad the further into it we go, getting fitter, and then we can start rotating, and then we'll really see things getting full swing, and I think we'll be flying, definitely, because I believe we're still going to do some business, and yeah, I think people are a bit crazy, like I said the other day, about picking lineups for the Newcastle game when people pulled me on mine and they were like, oh god, why would you want to pick that lineup? And I'm like, I wouldn't want to pick that lineup, but it's being realistic of who's here, what Unai chose to do last pre-season, and then the game starting it, that he went for the players that had done well in pre-season and been there most of it. So that's all I've gone with, not my own personal thoughts, which a lot of you find mind-blowing, that I can think about something with it out being based around me, but yeah, it's not the lineup I'd want, it's not my fantasy Arsenal 11, it's what I actually think realistically Unai would start the season with, so that's what I went with. But you know, I've seen some of you guys going, Bellerin, Holding, new centre back, Turney, Ceballos, Torreira, Ozil, Laka, Oba, Pep, and it's like 50% of that, more than 10% of that lineup you've just picked isn't even at the club. Another 10 or 20% of it's injured and won't be back for a while. And another 20% of it's had no pre-season. You're just mad. I do think what we'll end the season with, our lineup will be really exciting, but not what we start with. It'll be more of the same as last season, and I think we'll struggle through games. I really do. I think what we can mainly hope for is a bit of a bright spark if you pick some youth players that they just do a bit of brilliance, or Oba carries us and he bags his chances. I think that's what it'll come down to. Yeah, and Leno being more cat-like than he was last year. More of the same from him, and 8 out of 10s most weeks. So that's that stuff, guys. I think I'm going to leave it at that for questions, because we'll talk about some transfer stuff before this gets crazy long. Outs. Jenko, finally. I said in a video the other week that I didn't know if this was going to be like the 942nd coming of Carl Jenkinson, but looks like it's not. Looked like he's going out the door. Notts Forest is the one that is being rumoured that are very interested in him at the minute. Up to £5 million, I'd be happy with that. I wish him the best as well. He's someone who, if he was just that bit better, everybody would love him, because why wouldn't you? But he's not quite good enough, so you might still love him, but it doesn't overweigh the fact that he's just not quite good enough, and it's a shame, but I'd wish him all the best, definitely. Bielik, he's been the big surprise one really for a lot of people maybe. It surprised me a bit they were letting go. Not shocked, but I think there'd have been value in keeping him in and around the squad, I do, compared to what we've got, but I'm actually quite happy that we've managed to get 10 million for him from Derby, and he's another player I'll look forward to seeing how he gets on there. Definitely. I don't know if there's any clauses for buyback. I don't think we're that interested in seeing Bielik back at the club, and it's going to be interesting to see how that one works out, whether it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down on our decision, but he's gone, so we move on from it. The big talking one, Koscielny. I've seen a lot of you react really badly to that. His signing video yesterday at some point. Ripping off last season's shirt and showing the Bordeaux shirt. I really don't know why it's bothering some of you so much. I just sort of applauded. Just the sheer delight that came over me when I seen him in another team's shirt. And that's all I thought about was, yes, he's gone, right, jackpot, next one. And a lot of you have seemed to have took it the total other way, where it's sent you into some sort of spiraling depression and real anger, hatred towards him. I don't quite get it. I did think it was I did think it was disrespectful, but not in a way that it bothered me. It's just like, yeah, alright. Nice one, mate. See you later. And people that are getting upset, like I say, why is he someone that you were going to, pine over for the next 10 years and look back and, with a grandkid on the knee going, oh, you should have seen this defender I saw back in 2012. Lauren Koscielny, honestly. They were the days. No, I was a fan, not a massive fan, but I like Wiltshire and I liked Ramsey. But I said to you, like, you're a fickle bunch and you're all bleeding hearts a day after. Oh no, we're going to miss him so much, blah, 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 blah. And then, it's going to be the same, well, it's felt the same this year as it did last year. People gave it the sort of, Jack's gone, and then Guendouzi started playing, everyone was just like, what's a Wiltshire? And it's been the same this window for me, is that people were pining about Ramsey and look at him in that Juventus shirt, and then Willock's played in pre-season and it's like, what? Is it a Ramsey? What? Sorry mate, no, Google it. You're a fickle bunch, and they're all players that, like I say, down the line you won't talk about, you won't remember. You'll look past those players and still remember the ones from unless you're really young. If you're 30 or over, you're not gonna go, oh, I remember Ramsey. You're gonna talk about Vieira's, Bergkamp's, it's a generational thing, I suppose, but it didn't faze me in the slightest. I was just happy to see it's been solved, because I know some of you were saying chuck him in the under-23s, let him rot in the youth team. Who does that benefit? It's fucking pointless. Just, I said to people, his wages this year would be £4.5 million, so if we can just get around that for him, laugh him. And we've got 4.6 million for him. Cheers for the years, mate. I do think down the years he has been an important player for us, and helped us transition in a time where we were struggling. And if it wasn't for him, I think we could have had a few much worse seasons. So I'm not going to hate on him. I think it's pretty piss poor the way he's acted this window. But like I said to you guys when it was first announced that he'd not gone on the flight, and I said to you guys, always wait for the other half of a story before you write someone off. And there's a couple of things in there. I said to you, the main one is that he blames us for overplaying him, and why he wasn't the captain that lifted the World Cup, and that really cheesed him off. And he's put a real chip on his shoulder towards us. And then obviously it's concurred as well that we've made a sort of agreement with the last regime that the new regime haven't withheld, and he's gone, right, well fuck his then, now he didn't need another chip putting on the other shoulder, and with 2 chips like 80 shoulder pads, he's done what he's done. There was talk last week that we were maybe looking, and I said that we might be willing to talk him back into the fold, but it wasn't for me. Just get what we can and let him go, cut our losses, and we have done, so I'm delighted. And like I say, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what I was seeing. I saw some people saying about the kit, you can't even be asked to wear this season's kit for it, and I thought, I wouldn't have thought Adidas would allow him to do that. I think they would have to go and agree to being able to do that sort of thing. You'd have to get consent, and I don't think Adidas would have given it him, because he's not featured in that our kit, so why would we let him wear it? So that's why I think he was in last season's. And yeah, like I say, when I saw that Bordeaux shirt, I was like, yes! Right, Mustafi next. What shirt's he going to have on? Xhaka in a Birmingham City shirt. That would fucking hell. Wang! In Mickey Mustafi going this window, it's just like. But yeah, that's good. More good news, because it's just more money, and there's 20 million there. Delighted. Other possible outs, I mentioned Eddie a minute ago. Plenty of clubs interested in him, and like I say, I could see why, because I think he'd be an absolute killer in the Championship. There we go. I think he'd be killer in the Championship. I think that's probably for this season. If he's a main guy, his level, definitely. And I would look forward to. Whoever he went to, I'd definitely watch way more of their games if Eddie was playing week in, week out. I'm still not sure that one's going to happen. I'm real 50-50 on it, because I've not heard any noise about it. The other one, we look to Bayern. That was another one I mentioned the other day, saying, that's just clever play from his agent, in my opinion. He's had a very good pre-season, so let's start a rumour that, a big club's interested. Let's get his wages doubled. Let's get everyone going to the new season happy. So that's all I think that one is. Don't think there's any truth in it. Al Nene, not really a ton of noise, but he's someone who I think will definitely be gone this window. It might happen, as soon as ours closes, today, tomorrow, or right at the end of August, the start of September, when some of the foreign ones close. But he will. I just don't see there's any way that the club will allow him to stay, because he's on decent money. So I think he's one that'll definitely go. Mustafi. Obviously, I think he'd still command quite decent money, so he is one that I would love to see go. But being realistic again, with what centre-backs we currently have fit, I don't know how close Holding is to being back fit, but I can't imagine him playing in August or September. And then with that type of injury, we're going to have to tread lightly with him, so we can't afford really to go into the season, for me, with just Socrates, Chambers and a new centre-back signing. So, as much as my hair, I saw the Arsenal Vision podcast guys talk about Arsenal are like the mullet of football teams. Well, fucking hell, my hair is like the mullet of my head. It's getting ridiculous. Mustafi does need to leave for my hair and my facial hair's sake. But I just don't see it happening. Yeah, it's a real tricky one, that one. Mickey is one that I'm sure a lot of us would be pretty happy to see go out the door. But I'm not sure. I think that's a stretch. I think he might end up a bit like Mesut, where he stays until his contract runs out. And talking of Ozil, a bit of a random one, DC United in January. Mesut Ozil only 30. Is this the point in his career he should be moving to the MLS? Surely he's got more to give to a big side yet. The type of player he isn't based on speed or pace or real engine. So, you'd like to think he could still be a really good player at 32 to 34, but he's just not doing it, is he? So, would I be that upset if Mesut left? If he's playing well, I'd be pretty gutted, but if it's more of the same as last season and he leaves out, I probably won't bat an eyelid. But I will look fondly on his time at the club, definitely, because he's one of the best number 10s he's ever been, in my opinion. And that's the outs, really. Ins. Well, there's been a lot more outs than that. I saw the full list yesterday. It's like nearly 20 players on it. So, people say we've not sold anyone. Not the ones you'd want rid of, but we have actually done a lot of business out. But that's, again, you could probably argue that whether they want, like Ramsey, Welbeck, the club's not really got a decision to make, because it was made a while ago, so you can't really call that smart business in this window, I suppose. But the names we're being talked with now as sort of targets that I've been identified. It's sort of like, right, well, wingers now, that talk's pretty much over. Centre mids, we're not really getting mentioned with them. And now it's sort of coming down to just centre back, left back. And at left back it's just still only one name, and that does seem to say that we are all in on Turney, and it's Turney or nothing. I found Neil Lennon's comments. Sorry, I nearly called him Neil Lemon then. I found his comments really interesting, because when the talk of the first bid was rejected, he was very staunch in not happening. Nah, he's one of our best players, blah blah. No, we're not in any rush to sell. He's not. And then slowly but surely, as the window's getting nearer and nearer to the end, and they're looking at it, his comments have totally changed now, and they're all about, I'm expecting another bid. He's a player that does leave. His words have totally changed now, and it seems like the optimism's sort of gone out of him, and he's just sort of praying that we go back in. And like I said, I don't think we need to make another actual bid monetary wise. We just need to change that plan where we pretty much give him all of the 25 mil just up front. But it's a tricky deal, this one, because like I said, I could see it maybe just being done now and brokered now for January. There was this stuff that came out about him being injured, and he's been set back another 8 weeks now. Lennon's come out and said he'll be kicking a ball next week, so if he is ready to be just at least kicking a ball next week, then I'd be pulling the trigger right now. And like I say, for me, the first month of the season, because of other players aren't back in the squad anyway, I'm sort of writing off August as a month that I don't expect 12 points out of 4 games. So if I was gonna, if at any time it was gonna happen, I'd rather it be now, where we're gonna have to go without some of our better players anyway. So I'm still pretty confident on this one, I am, but I do think it might go right till somebody shaking the fax machine at sort of 4:59 tomorrow going, Janice, is it plugged in, love? Banging away on it quick. It could be a silly one that sort of drags out right to the death. Other stuff, Regani, he's one. He's another player that I don't think a lot of you guys seem to know anything about, but he's another one that I've watched quite a lot of, because I do end up doing bits on the foreign leagues, so I do see quite a bit of him. and he's decent, but he's one I'm very indifferent on, especially for sort of 50 million quid. If we could get him on loan, then it's worth taking a chance, I think. But to just outright pay 50 million for him, it makes me a little bit on edge. It makes me a little bit nervous because he's a player that I think could be a tad better than he looks over there, or he could be a lot worse in England. Probably a bit like Mustafi. I could see him turning into a Mustafi, but I could also see the other end of the scale with him. Don't think he'd ever be world class, but a bit like Holding for me, could just be very good. The other guy, Upamecano. The boy then. Like I say, you guys know he was my choice of a young centre back, and has been for a while, a good while. I definitely think this is pretty concrete interest. You know, do we look to say, well, here's Emile Smith Rowe on loan again? You know, we'll pay his wages, don't worry about it. I saw some people suggesting selling Emile Smith Rowe just to get him, and I can see the idea. It's just it wouldn't be Emile Smith Rowe, wouldn't be the one that I'd be giving him. Saying that, though, which of our youth wouldn't be happy to give them? Wouldn't really give him any of them, but you know, to get Upamecano, I would say here's Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah on loan for a year. I'm not sure I'd let him keep any of them. If I was to let him have any sort of young player, it'd be Iwobi. And I don't actually. I've gone full circle with Iwobi where I couldn't be doing with him, and now I don't mind him. But he'd probably be the one that I think he will find most frustrating out of the younger sort of players. Yeah, it's an interesting deal, but I don't think it'll be for anything like the numbers people are talking. He's one where I think he's just sort of worth 10 million more than Konate, so I think sort of 55 to 65 would get this deal done. Like I say, especially if we just sweetened it with, you can have Emile Smith Rowe wage free for a year. Maybe, you know, a Mavropanos or a Medley. I mean, how good would that be for Medley or Mavropanos next to Konate there for a year? You know, that's one that's just sprung into mind. You know, a like-for-like replacement that could definitely be up to it. It's interesting, and I think this is one that we've not heard the end of yet. You know, if we've definitely gone in with a concrete bid of 50 million, I've got the feeling we're definitely going to go back in again. And, you know, similar to my comments before about Lille, I think Leipzig will be very similar, where they won't look to rinse us. I think they'll just accept what they think is a fair valuation for him. I don't think they'll look to squeeze us at all. And I saw it was really interesting, somebody say, well, what would you think about signing up Meccano and doing a Saliba type deal where we let him stay there on year for a loan and we just bring Regani in for a loan just for this season? And would that, if we did that, Turney and Coutinho, would that make Raul the greatest sort of negotiator the club's ever had? And I thought, yes, yes it would. That would be an absolute masterstroke, in my opinion. I'd much rather just see Upamecano come this year, but if they were sort of like the Saliba thing where they were going, well, we really need him this year, so we're happy to sell him for this number or a slightly lower number, but he's staying here. And we could just get Regani in for a loan, because as much as I don't think he's anywhere near as good, he'd still be a lot better than Mustafi, and that's what we're looking at the moment. So I don't want to get into this just better than what we've got, because like I keep saying, that's not what I ever want. I want as good as we can get, and I think Upamecano is as good as we can get. Regani, I think he's just better than Mustafi, and that's where I draw the line. So that's the main rumblings at the minute. And like I say, Coutinho, I'm not really sure this is one for us at all. I think it's much more likely that Tottenham are trying to push Eriksen out the door before he becomes worth nothing, you know, and can leave for nothing next year. They're going to look to shuffle him out and then use maybe half of what they get for him, around 50 million, to just loan someone like Coutinho in for a year. you know, that midfield of theirs, you know, and Dombele coming in, you know, one other, whoever that is, maybe Sissoko, and Coutinho, that's a pretty tidy midfield. Well, it's very tidy. But fuck them. I hope they bomb this year. Yeah. I wouldn't be averse to him coming in, Coutinho, definitely not, but I wouldn't be happy with paying nearly 30 million quid for him on loan for a year when you know. Why would we pay 30 million just to loan him for a year? Because we're not going to go out and buy him, because Barca will want most of what they paid, which was over 140 million, so they'd still want 100 million for me, and we're not ever going to pay that for Philippe Coutinho, not in a million. So I just don't. I think a lot of you are enjoying this rumour. Like I say, if he came in, I wouldn't be against it, but it's a bit like the Pep one where I still want to see a centre back in first. You know, I saw a rumour about that saying that's what Unai said, is that, you know, if you're pressing the button on this one, I won't guaranteeing that a centre back's coming in. You know, we might do all of it, I don't know, fuck it. Bring in Regani, Upamecano, Coutinho and Turner, let's do this, let's continue the madness. But I did get a very interesting text yesterday morning from somebody who I love very much. They love me back, and know how big of an Arsenal fan I am, and just sent me a text sort of saying, hold on to the corners of your mouth, mate, because they might be about to go up considerably. Arsenal are trying harder, or as hard as Chuck Norris, to make some big deals happen before this window shuts. And as soon as I looked at that text, I was like, wow. I was sort of hopeful that just one of Turney or a centre-back had come in. The idea that both of those and maybe something else could happen is really exciting. You know, maybe it won't happen, but this person I have a ton of faith in. If he tells me we're really trying hard for some signings still, I expect there's some madness left in this window. And he did also say that we will be getting some deals done once our window shuts of players going out. So don't lose the plot. I think a lot of you keep thinking that Thursday that's it for everything, and it's not. You know, we can still sell players after that, so just concentrate on the ins and not the outs for the minute. You know, you've got all of August to do that. You've got a day and a half left to concentrate on the ins, so focus your attention there. But that's all the transfer stuff. And another episode of Gunner Talk is over and out. Hope you've enjoyed, guys. I've got now, it's Wednesday, you know, 4 days till the season starts. I'm still 50 followers away from 1500, and I'm still 15 subscribers away from 75, and it's killing me. Come on, guys, help me out, help a brother out, man. Come on, spread the love, and let's get this season off with a bang. Have a lovely Wednesday, people. Si signing out.